Hey, so I gotta say thank you for coming and hanging out with me today. It's a bunch of y'all that's coming in, that's liking, subscribing, that's just creating and supporting like the community development. So I appreciate each and every one of you. Um, so sit back, watch, and enjoy. Hopefully you like it this time. If you don't, I'll catch you next time. It's all good. Um, so while we're here today, like a while back, I was watching Clarissa and she was on a live, right? Like she had this whole joint where she was like kind of running through the crib a little bit, like not running like on some sprint and stuff, but she was in this live and she was a bit feverish, like talking about having her medals and how blessed she was and everything else. And while I was watching her, I was dead ass thinking to myself, like, oh, like she losing it a little bit. And we kind of seen like this whole situation with her and Pat kind of unfold and whatnot. Like I was watching The Age of Attraction and it made me mad all over again. That's a whole nother thing because it's a whole thing that I don't think she gets, but we're not gonna go too far off on a tangent. But I really want to show y'all something really quick. Just watch this little snippet that I found and put together because I want to put this in context to why I'm having this conversation this way.
What's the next thing? What's the plan for 2026? Like,
I'm having a baby.
oh, okay, that's for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
I'm having a baby.
Do you prefer like a girl, a boy? I mean, just I know obviously healthy baby, but do you have any like?
Pat want a boy, so I want a boy.
Oh, okay, okay.
You know what I'm saying? I don't mind either one. I'm gonna have a baby next year. We already have it planned out. I'm gonna have a baby next year, and then after I go through my stuff, then I'll come back and fight some more, and then probably have another one, and then do the same thing again. I'm having a baby next year,
Okay.
and that's Pat plan.
Does Pap know he's having a baby next year?
Pat, you know you having a baby next year?
He said absolutely.
Well, it's funny you ask that because he asked me to have a baby.
Okay.
I
He's
don't have
ready.
no kids.
Okay.
So it's like when he asked me, we supposed to have a baby this year.
Okay.
But I told him I got a few more girls I want to kick. So we compromised with let me box this year, and then next year I can have my first kid and give him a kid.
Keep those videos in your back pocket because we're gonna get into it. Now, here's what I would say. There's two things that I would say to Clarissa, like if I was on her team. And honestly, I feel like if this is valuable for anybody, please take it and do what needs to be done with the information, right? So, first thing, I believe that there's a time and place for being desperate and delusional. I'm gonna elaborate on that. And the other thing that I want to say to her, like, or I would say to her if I had a chance, I would give her the advice that my pops gave me. And when I was young, I started talking to this dude, and this was my nigga for real. Like I'm not gonna say and pretend with y'all, but he wasn't a good guy. And my pops, like he kind of got winded. And that's a complicated situation. He kind of got winded, son not being all that. And my pops didn't try to tell me don't mess with him or nothing like that. My pops spoke to me honestly, and he said, "Do me a favor." He said, "Don't go from the girl that's going to Applebee's for a drink in between your finals to the girl that's chilling on the chill bench in the hood because that's all your nigga could afford to do." And when I tell you that that has been like a fortified piece of advice in my life since I was like 18, 19, there's no such thing as I'm going to be in a relationship with somebody and my life is allowed to collapse and I don't fight back because my pops told me so. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm gonna get into that a little bit more, right? So shout out to Pops on that one because I feel like this is one of those instances that this is valuable. And you know, speaking of Pops, did y'all know that Clarissa's dad's name is Clarence? I found a video of him talking, and he was like talking about how beautiful she was. Maybe I'll insert this video because I think that this is an important perspective to understand her too. So maybe right here.
Hold on. You want to say something? Okay. Fede, bring your granddaddy up here. Go ahead. Fede, hand it to your granddaddy.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Now, I've been trying to tell the world this for about 20 years. when you was a baby, I think you was about 1.5. I used to sit you on my knee, and I used to throw punches with your hands. So, God, I didn't do that with you thinking you was gonna become a fighter. Because the first time you said something to me about fighting, I told you, hell no, you look too good for that.
That's what he said. My daddy been telling me I was fine. I was gonna choose the box. He been telling me that.
And then about 3 weeks later, I took her down. I went down to the gym, and I talked to some guys. I said, who the best trainer down here? They said, Jason Crutchfield.
Yeah.
So when I filled the paper, I didn't fill the paper out. I had her to fill her own paper out. I signed it though. And then we went downstairs, and I gave her a paper to Jason. I want you to train my daughter to fight. 3 weeks later, I went to the gym. He said, man, she only been there 3 weeks, and she doing shit that people been in 6 months can't do. And I used to always let her punch me in my stomach before I fell and hurt myself. And I think right before she went to the Olympics, and she was about 147.
14.
So I told her, I said, come on, give me let's see what you're working with. So she all up and knocked the hell out of me. So I looked at her, I said, we won't be doing that anymore. But as coming up to, I ain't bragging on myself, but I was a hard-hitting motherfucker.
Cannonball! Cannonball!
I done dropped some boys around here, and I done fought in some places that some people wouldn't want to fight in. I done jumped down in a ditch and fought a guy. It wasn't no big money, but it was money. I fed my family. That's all that count. And then I slipped up and got back into some old habits and wound up being incarcerated. She was 2 years old. So, and when you was with your mom and y'all was doing what they was doing, I always had food in my house, but y'all didn't want to fuck with me. Y'all didn't want to come to my house. After you turned 13, you would come by and, Dad, I want to go skate, and I want to do this, I want to do that. But I always had food, and every time I picked you up, before I dropped you out, what'd I do? All right, that's what I'm talking about, my nigga. I love you, baby.
Like to.
And you ain't through doing shit yet. You gonna break a whole lot of new records. You gonna set some stuff that ain't gonna never, ever be done again. So, we just keep on kicking asses and taking names.
Thank you.
All right. And thank y'all.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
And so going back to the notion of there's a time and place to be desperate and delusional, right? So Claressa, when she was talking about this live, I think that Shorty got her first 2 gold medals before Olympic gold medals for boxing before she was even of age to drink, right? Like quite literally, I think she did this as a teenager. And when you think about that in context, like when I see kids like get pushed into fucking pools and all that so that they can learn how to swim, like I get frantic. Like I'm like, I could never watch that. This is young Shorty. Her pops is a MMA fighter, boxer, or whatever, and he got her in jiu-jitsu. And when I tell you, the baby is like 8, 9 years old. When I tell you this girl is a beast, and she's been doing this since she was like 4 or 5 years old. So now she's so talented, and I'm like, the fear of seeing a kid like under that kind of pressure, you're amazed at their growth, but you're so fearful that they could get hurt. At least for somebody like me, right? Like I'm a sucker. I don't want my nieces, none of that, nephews, none of that. Like I don't want them going through nothing rough. But there's a part of life where you gotta be a little delusional, right? Like that's a version of delusion. That's because it's like if the kid gets hurt, of course we're gonna look at you and say like you're ridiculous. Of course the kid got hurt. But when you think about that in context of Claressa's life, right? Like Shorty started boxing, I think she said like 9 or something crazy like that, or 11, because her pops was locked up. So her pops was a street fighter, and after he got out of jail, he came back. She got into the boxing ring and into like throwing hands because of him. And so her life, she had a tough start. I didn't watch her biopic and all that other stuff, and I feel like I should. Like so that I could get more context and really understand her story a bit better. But from what I understand, like, she's been through a lot, right? And if her life is hard, she grew up in Flint, there's mad stuff going on. She like abused, there's learning disabilities and all types of stuff. And when you think about that, you got to be a little bit desperate to get out of that kind of situation. You're not sitting there comfort and complacent and in full comfort and complacent based on like, oh, I'm just here chilling, because you're not going to aspire to much if you're too comfortable. There's some people that get motivated and they're comfortable, but there's a lot of us that if we're comfortable, we kind of just going to chill. We're going to stay where we're comfortable. So here we are. Shorty is crazy enough to go in the boxing ring, like as a teenager, throwing hands with 20-year-olds and all that. And she got a gold medal. And so when I say that there's a time and place for desperate and delusion, you know that shit starts out as, you're nuts. But then when it pans out and it works out, then that's the kind of stuff where people be like, oh no, she's disciplined, she's this. So it changes based on the outcome. You feel what I'm saying? If she fell off and she didn't do well and all these other things, like, we'd be having a totally different conversation or no conversation at all. We wouldn't know her. But there's a certain level of crazy you gotta be for you to aspire and be an Olympic gold medal boxer, and to be at this rate, at this age, and then coming from where she's coming from. You gotta be a little bit crazy to break out of your normal stuff, right? Like, you gotta do a little bit of extra on your ordinary in order for you to become extraordinary, right? Like, so this is where, like, I'm not mad at her, but then I feel like because she's been so successful with that mindset of desperation and delusion, it's kept her from being rational or maturing. Not to mention, and I'm gonna be, I say this with love, you're getting punched in the head and all that other stuff. Like, I've been reading about traumatic brain injuries, CTE, and all that other stuff, and that stuff is not no joke. And I don't know if I would put my kid in that kind of line of fire during their developmental processes, but I also feel like this is important for her to take the time out to like do stuff like go get therapy, go and get them MRIs and make sure that you're healthy and everything else. Not just for the sake of being able to get back in the ring and throw hands, but just to make sure that if there's anything going on. But CTE, you can't find out about it until after the fact. See what I'm saying? Like, that's a lot. But there was another thing that happened with her, right? So she got into it. She was getting into it with the people from MVP, and specifically it's this shorty here. I'm gonna insert a picture, Alicia Baumgartner. So a big part of the conversation around Claressa is the fact that she is, I think she went down to 160, but she's like in the heavyweight class. But there's nobody in the heavyweight class that is like a formidable opponent. Like, it's not fun, it's not interesting, or nothing like that. So she's losing a lot of steam, but she's maintaining this undefeated title. So there's all this conversation about what she should do, what she can do, and all this other stuff. And you got people like Layla Ali that's trying to give her advice about where she should be at as far as weight class is concerned. And you even got somebody like a Christy Martin that was having a conversation. I think that's her name. But I watched her Untold story on Netflix where her coach was smashing on her and super her up with the booger sugar, right? Like, so that was a whole thing. But that was a great watch too. But even she was like, yo, she got to take it easy, because it's like you don't want people to not like you so much. So let's go into the notion of be careful who you fucking with. So I'm not going to sit here and pump fake like I'm a fan of this whole Pep and Claressa thing. I'm just not. I feel like it's a situation where he recognizes her desperation and her delusion, and he's exploiting that. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I didn't realize or look into the fact that Remy has, respectfully has daddy issues, right? Her pops wasn't around until she was like 18 years old. Claressa had a gap of love with her pops, and Claressa went from a girl that was kind of getting hurt and wasn't really looked after to being a girl that everybody comes to because she got something. So to go from being completely overlooked to being the person that people talk to because you got stuff, that love becomes conditional or becomes transactional. It's my purview, right? Like, don't quote me on that like as a fact, but this is how I feel about these kinds of things. And I think that Pap is a dude that kind of recognizes that. Like, I don't think that he's looking at her and sees her as somebody that he can be coaching up in life. I feel like this is something that he's kind of exploiting. Again, going like I watched the Age of Attraction joint on Netflix, and that's a recurring theme when you dealing with people that's significantly older. In most cases, I'm not going to say that in every case. In most cases, there is an exploitation of the younger person in that situation. I hate to say it like that, but that's just how I feel about it. So my pop said, don't become like the nigga that you messing with, right? And so this whole incident that happened was she going back and forth. So her and this chick Alicia like beefing, right? Like it's regular online stuff, and it's cool. I'm like, yo, if Claressa got in the ring with her, she throw hands with her, she'll deal with her. Alicia could fight. This is not me saying that Alicia can't fight. I'm saying like I feel like Claressa would get the best of her. But at a MMA event with Ronda Rousey, and Alicia was there because she's a part of the promotional team and all this other stuff. This nigga not Alyssa, Claressa pull up on her at a table and I'm like, hold on. So here I am thinking, like, I'm like, sis, you could beat her. Like, why wouldn't you, like, shorty talking smack, drop the weight and go see her outside? I'm like, I would have paid for that, thinking like she was, she was taking her shit serious. Nah, Claressa Pilot. I thought it was some sucker shit. Like it, and it's fine if you turned up, but you got plans on seeing her in the ring. But I'm like, you don't got no plans on seeing her in the ring because Alicia is is a featherweight, lightweight, something like that. But Alicia like 130 something pounds. Like yo, Claressa is at, I think she's at 160. Like it's like, like you gotta make it make sense. But when I say that she did that, and I listen to Claressa talk and everything else, and I'm like, yo, she's kind of impressionable and all this other stuff. And I'm like, who was the motherfucker that was talking about being disrespected and popping on somebody? Who you think? I got a clip.
Right. Somebody said we stepped at the park. You said you was going there to put homie down. So I go in the spot. I'm walking through the spot. I don't see the lane. Everybody look like the lane to me. I go to where I got an idea where they at. When I walk in the room, they in there lovey-dovey. They in there all lovey-dovey. Mind you, she been lying, saying she ain't with the nigga. She don't deal with him. All this corny shit, right? I see the lane. Y'all already know. Went in his mouth. Off the muscle. What happened was, he thought I came to talk. He thought I was about to talk. Ain't none of that. We don't do that. Mom! Right in his mouth off the muscle. Whooped him out. Dead on his feet. Hit the floor like a sack of potatoes.
So now, before you know it, we starting to see, at least for me, I'm like, you starting to taper yourself and your career is starting to mirror the nigga that you fuck with. And I'm not saying that, because I don't want to come across just disrespectful, because I don't want to punch down on Pat, but I want to be honest about what's going on here. I'm like, yo, sis, if you're a gold medalist, I'm like, with all due respect, like, what version or what part of Pap's career do you feel like is worth mirroring at this juncture? Like, how is he going to get you closer when he say stuff like a hit record is like winning the lottery? If he believes that his career is in the hands of luck and just keeping at it, he think it's a gamble. Do you think that your boxing career is also a gamble, or is it strategy and is it focus? Is it a hard decision? Is it a commitment? And I'm like, I don't really know. So now, this desperation and delusion, remember them videos? It's like, yo, you out here talking about, oh, we gonna have a baby. And I'm like, yo, sis, do you not understand that dudes would dead ass be like, yo, I'm trying to put a baby in you because they really want to clip with no yonder? Like, what are you doing? Why are you dead begging for him to put a baby? And now you trying to switch it to like, oh no, he asked me. Sis, stop bringing it up. Stop bringing it up. Because that, you are killing your desirability. And this is the real tea, because this goes back to this whole sponsorship joint she got going on, right? So you want sponsors and all this other stuff. And I'm like, sis, your market is your desirability. Where you should be mirroring the likes of somebody like an Angel Reese, you out here begging some married dude for a baby. Now, let me be fair, right? Because I'm not here to cast stones, because hear me when I tell you, I'm not a perfect person. Who sang that song? I'm not a perfect person. My bad. So like, it would be different if she was running around. I'm not encouraging this, but if you're running around with an Idris Elba if listen, you might get a different type of vote on that island. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not saying that that's okay. I'm talking about the nature of desirability. And I'm saying this, and again, with nothing but respect. My favorite part, and what I perceive most people's favorite part about Pap, was Remy. Respectfully. It's not like, oh, people look at Pap and it's like, oh, this is not gonna sound nice. But we not running behind him because we just running behind him. We loved who he was with Remy Ma. And please do not sleep on the value of a dude being married, snatched up, wifed up by somebody that's outstanding. His desirability goes up based on who he's with. And the reason why I feel like this is important to pinpoint is because when we think about like other couples, right? Like it don't always work out that the side chick gets the best praise or whatever the case might be. But we do have instances where it worked out. We're not gonna sit here and act like Mr. and Mrs. Smith wasn't like the affair. Like we straight forgot about Jennifer Aniston. And I want to say like there is some, I don't know, like maybe people found Angelina more, like they looked at them as a unit. It was like, damn, they kind of nice looking though, right? Only to find out that Brad Pitt is not actually a nice guy because all the kids is like, yeah, I'm dropping the pit. But that's a whole nother story for another day. But what I'm saying is that there's room, like there's a market for people that will act like your affair was the right move. But it all leans into how desirable are you? And I think that you do like with Clarissa's like she's doing so much that it's like you just come across distasteful. You just come across like somebody that's begging for something, that wants something. And I feel for her because again, like I watch the conversation and the rhetoric on the internet, and I'm like, yo, they be kicking shorty back it. But a lot of the stuff she be doing and saying, it just makes sense. And it's like, I hate to say it like this, but just being honest, like Clarissa and Pap shit is so like it's so downgrade feeling that I'm watching people like super praise Remy right now. And it's because she just been working on herself. Like she out here slim rem, she putting on the stuff, she's showing up, she's extra pretty. She just dropped this new song. And it's like, don't sleep on like women really upgrading the value of it. Beyonce already said it, right? Like, I don't know, bro. Like, I feel like Clarissa is a person that's losing out on so many opportunities because she's not taking heed to how much she's tapering off her own desirability. And I feel like if I could leave this message, not just for her, but for anybody, right? Like, don't get so caught up with any. This is not exclusive to women to men. This is partners, period, across the spectrum. Don't get so caught up with your partner that like you start to diminish your own value to maintain who that person is or maintain the dynamic with that person. Going back to my pops giving me advice on old boy, like I'll tell y'all, it got to a point in like our dynamic because we was off and on, like it wasn't healthy for real. But we got to a point like where me and him was having a conversation. Like I'm driving my car, we coming from someplace, and he's sitting in the passenger seat regular, and I think I was talking about doing this, and this was probably back in like no funny shit like 2016 because I've always wanted to like come into this content creation space. So wild, bro. So like I'm saying like, oh, I want to do this and I want to write a book and I want to get into this. I want to like just dreaming big. And I could be a little bit timid if you know me well enough. And he looked across at me and he was like, you the most gotta get shit done bitch I know, or something like that. And he had venom on his voice. You like that motherfucker like was upset. And I was like, what? I'm like, what do you mean? And he explained to me, he was like, yo, look around. He's like, you got this, you got that, and you still want to do stuff. Like, yo, he was upset. And I think if I could leave that for anybody, Like me and him can't have conversations that's normal or regular. I can't have somebody like that in my space because he will walk alongside me with literal envy in his heart for me. Even though it's like I'm not doing nothing to him. It's whatever he feels about himself and his own incapacities. And I didn't think that he was incapable. He just chose not to do certain stuff. That's a whole nother conversation for another day. In fact, let this be the end of this video because I'm gonna come back around and have a conversation about like this is why I don't be playing with you niggas because y'all are out of pocket. But I'll save that and I'll talk to you later. But tell me what you think. Like how you feel about this whole Claressa Pap situation. And in fact, do you have a situation in which your desperation and your delusions have paid off well and paid you forward? And are you okay with transitioning that tool to your new tools, going from desperate and delusional to accomplished and desirable, right? Going from anxious to urgent and timely. Talk to me about that. Until next time.